Kim Hellberg and Middlesbrough will be working hard behind the scenes to come up with a master plan to take on Southampton this weekend in the first leg of their playoff semi-finals. But perhaps Hellberg has a secret weapon up his sleeve. The playoff semi-final clash first leg takes place on Saturday lunchtime at 12:30 p.m. at the Riverside Stadium, with the second leg taking place on Tuesday evening at St Mary's Stadium. And Middlesbrough will have to make special plans for Southampton's real attacking threat. Of course, Middlesbrough do have a number of quality attacking players themselves, but Southampton do have the possibility of really turning the screw on Middlesbrough, given their stunning run of form in the second half of the season. A lot of people were tipping them to be the top team in the Championship, the best team in the Championship. And had the season gone on for maybe 4 or 5 games more, they probably would have got it into the top 2. Such was the impressive nature of their performances. But instead, Southampton finished in the playoff places. They finished 4th, Middlesbrough finished 5th, meaning that the two sides will go head-to-head for a place at Wembley Stadium and the chance to secure promotion to the Premier League. Now, for Middlesbrough, if they are to silence Southampton, if we are to be able to get a victory over them, the main thing will be making sure that we can nullify the threat of their key attacking players. Now, one of those players is someone that we know very, very well on Teesside, and that is Mr. Finn Azaz. Now, of course, Middlesbrough played Southampton at the Riverside Stadium earlier this year. It was a match where Middlesbrough came out heavily on top. It was a wonderful afternoon, but this was before Southampton really clicked into gear. It was a great afternoon for Middlesbrough, a really poor one for Finn Azaz, who was a really frustrated figure. He was just nullified all the way through. He wasn't able to get on the ball or cause any sort of real problems. And then, of course, there was that fan footage at the end of the game of him sort of cursing and chuntering to himself as he made his way off the Riverside pitch, with the Red faction and the South Stand giving him some rightful stick, you've got to say, based on the other way that he left the club last summer. But since then, he has really kicked on. He's really showed that he is one of the best creative players in the Championship, something which all Middlesbrough fans knew, quite honestly. So this season, Finn Azaz, he's scored 11 goals, provided 8 assists, which means that he's got 19 goals and assists, which means that he's Southampton's main creative threat. Of course, they've got the likes of Leo Cienza, they've got Ryan Manning as well. In terms of goal scoring, they've got Kyle Larin as well, who's been excellent, and he looks a real handful up front and will undoubtedly cause Middlesbrough some problems. Adam Armstrong, as well as that, he's Southampton's joint top goal scorer with 11, but of course he left to join Wolves in the January transfer window. Middlesbrough were heavily linked with a move for him, but really, if Middlesbrough are to stop Southampton's attacking threat, then Finn Azaz will be a main part of what we will need to do in order to do that. We need to stop him getting on the ball. We need to stop him causing problems for Middlesbrough, because ultimately what he does, as Middlesbrough fans know, he is someone who likes to get on the ball in midfield. He's a typical number 10. He likes to float in those spaces between Middlesbrough's defence and midfield. He will look to drop into those little pockets and then ultimately provide the key creative threat. He'll be the real link player between Southampton's players. And if Southampton are to do well from an attacking point of view, he will be absolutely key to it. So what do Middlesbrough need to do to stop Finn Azaz? Of course, Middlesbrough's players know him better than anybody. We've played with him for a couple of seasons. A number of players in Middlesbrough's squad will know his game inside out, will know his good qualities, will know his bad qualities, will know how to stop him playing from an individual point of view. But from a tactical point of view, what does Kim Hellberg need to do to stop Finn Azaz getting on the ball and dictating play? Well, the answer may well be in something that Kim Hellberg has been doing over the last few weeks anyway, and that is what we would call the number 6 experiment. Now, you may remember over the last few weeks that Middlesbrough have been utilising something of a 5-man defence with 3 central defenders and 2 wing backs. That's typically been Matt Targett, Callum Britton on the wings, in central defence. It has been 2 players. It has been 3 on occasion against some opponents. So that could mean that it would be Dale Fry, Luke Ayling, and Adelson Malander playing in central defence. Now, what we've done when we have played in that system, it has allowed one of Middlesbrough's defenders to step out of defence and almost move into a kind of hybrid defensive midfield number 6 sort of position. Now, Adelson Malander has done that quite frequently. The most recent example of doing that was against Portsmouth at home, where he really was given free roam to break out of defence and almost become an extra man in that midfield area. He was tasked with getting on the ball, moving forward, playing forward passes, and almost being that sort of linking man between defence and midfield. Luke Ayling has also done it at Ipswich away. You can see here that exactly from his heat map against Ipswich that he was given real licence to push forward. It's part of Luke Ayling's kind of natural game anyway, that he loves to get on the ball, he loves to move forward, and so that is something that's come really naturally to Luke Ayling, to get on the ball, kind of break through that line between defence and midfield, and then ultimately try and pick a forward pass into the attacker, something that Luke Ayling has done very, very well for Middlesbrough so far. But I'm looking at Adelson Malanda going into this Southampton game, and perhaps he could be Middlesbrough's secret weapon to not only from an attacking point of view and adding an extra man into to midfield in terms of our time on the ball and creating chances and that sort of thing, but also in terms of nullifying the threat of Finn Azaz. Now, Adelson Malanda he is a defender. That is his natural game. Marking, tackling, winning aerial duels, that is his bread and butter. But he is also someone who likes to move into those areas, and he is someone who's got the real athleticism to be able to successfully man mark someone. Now, if Adelson Malanda is playing in that role, if we do have two other central defenders, I would like to see Adelson Malanda stepping forward and almost being given the task of man marking Finn Azaz out of the game. As we said, Finn Azaz is going to drop into those spaces between Middlesbrough's defence and midfield. He will look to try and find space for himself. Ultimately, that's where he's the most dangerous. But as Middlesbrough fans know, if he's given that space, he can be hugely, hugely dangerous. But if he is marked out of the game, if he doesn't have the space to play his natural game, he can be pretty much ineffective. And that's something that Middlesbrough have to play into. Now, Adelson Malanda, for me, seems like the perfect person to play that role. If he plays in central defence alongside Dale Fry, alongside Luke Ayling, he could be given that role of stepping out, man-marking Finn Azaz, stopping him getting on the ball and playing his game, and that would then allow Dale Fry and Luke Ayling to cover as central defenders and kind of tighten things up from that point of view. Now, if Malanda does that, it does mean that, yes, we'd be a man short at the back, but effectively would be able to tuck that in and still have a flat back four if he was stepping out. It would also mean that we do have the freedom to allow people like Aidan Morris or Alan Brown, if he's playing, to focus on things further up the field. You don't really want to be hampering someone like Aidan Morris in this game with having to man mark Finn Azaz, because that means that he won't really have the time or the energy to be able to burst forward and play his natural game. So if you do have someone like Adelson Malanda to be able to do that, it could be really, really effective. So for me, this is a really, really pivotal battle in this game. I think Finn Azaz is going to be absolutely crucial to how this tie plays out. If he's given the freedom, I think he could absolutely dominate this tie. I think he could have a massive say in who comes out on top over the two legs between Middlesbrough and Southampton, both at home and away. He has been nursing a bit of an injury of late, so he could be a little bit rusty for this one. He was heavily bandaged up for the match against Ipswich last week. There was question marks over whether he was actually fully fit for that game as well, but he's likely to be available for the match against Middlesbrough, because of course he's going to want to be a part of that. And as we said, he is a massive player for Southampton as well, so they're going to be desperate for him to be on the pitch. But if Middlesbrough can make life difficult for him, potentially with Adelson Malanda playing that role of that sort of hybrid number 6 kind of role, someone stepping forward, stopping him getting on the ball, putting in some crunching challenges and really frustrating him, it could be absolutely pivotal for Middlesbrough stopping the key man in Southampton's attack. So let me know what you think about that, because that's my theory. That's something that I could see happening. It's something that we've seen Kim Hellberg doing over the last few weeks anyway. I think it could work perfectly against Finn Azaz and against Southampton. And we do tend to see Middlesbrough play with five men in defence when we are playing against a better team, someone with real attacking quality. So I could definitely see us lining up with that five-man defence and the wing backs and that sort of thing against Southampton based on that. So let me know what you think about that. If you'd like to see Adelson Malanda be the man to man mark Finn Azaz and see him mark him out of the game, drop into the comments below and let me know what you think. Alternatively, let me know another plan that you'd like to see in place to stop Finn Azaz, causing Middlesbrough problems over these next two legs. I could see him being a really, really key player over these next two games, and if Middlesbrough can silence him, it could be a massive boost on our hopes of going to Wembley. If you have enjoyed this video, please do hit like, please do hit subscribe. If you are listening on the podcast platforms, then please do rate and review as well, and I will catch up with you next time.